title of my story this morning is The Excellent Parade. Now, you might remember several weeks ago that Pastor Glenn invited Gator to carry the cross in a Reformation Day parade that the Sunday school children are doing all around the outside of the church building. In fact, they're going to go around the block. And Gator is very excited to be the cross bearer, and he wants everything to be perfect. And that's when the first problem occurred. When he jumped out of bed this morning, he tripped over Jeter and he got his claw caught in the bedpost, and he yanked his claw right out, and it really hurt, and he cried. And Uncle Floyd came running quick with the nail clippers and clipped off the rough edge and put a little Band-Aid around it, and he kissed it. And then it was okay. It felt okay. It was going to work. And then when Gator went down for breakfast, Barabbas had eaten the last bowl of Captain Crunch cereal, and so Gator had to settle for grape nuts, but that was okay. Yes. And then on the drive to church, on 18th Street at the railroad crossing, there was a very, very long train that was going very, very slow, and it took almost 10 minutes. And they got to church just in the nick of time. And then when Gator went over to Pastor Glenn to report that he was here to be the cross bearer, and Pastor Glenn gave him the white robe to put on, and there was like no way this was going to work. And Pastor Glenn said, that's okay, you can be a cross bearer, you can be a crucifer without the white robe. And so Gator got already in position, and he held up the cross in the wind because it's really windy out today, you might have noticed. And then Pastor Glenn got behind Gator, and Pastor Ed, who if you noticed has his red stole on today. And then Barabbas, and I'm going to let Gator down here. All the children lined up behind him, all the children. Tweeza and Loretta and Larry and Obadiah and Mary Beth. And here's Dial, because he's a crocodile. And Polly and Hammond, and their Uncle Pete brought them this morning, and for some reason he got mixed up and thought it was Halloween parade, and he dressed parade. And Letitia and Decoria were there, all the children were there, and some of the grown-ups. And it was just really exciting, everybody was getting all lined up. And Gator is so anxious about making everything perfect that the first turn he was supposed to make out of the parking lot, he was supposed to turn right. He got mixed up and he turned left. And then he wasn't sure what to do. And Pastor Glenn said, it's okay. We'll just do the route in reverse. This will work just fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. And then Hammond accidentally tripped his sister, Polly, and then she began to bawl and make a big scene. And Uncle Pete said, just you need to be nice to your sister, and you need to stop being a crybaby. And then Running Chairs was just talking the whole time, complaining about the wind. Like, this wind is it's just so windy, and my mommy always says there'll be windy days, but I don't like this wind. It's going to mess up my mane. And, I wish it would stop being windy. Gator said, I wish she'd stop talking so much. Gator wanted everything